Today we have an exciting guest on, Chad Carden. He's the founder of the Carden Group, a company focusing on improving organizations by enhancing people. Now, his professional journey began when he was just 14 years old, and he was actually mentored by Zig Ziglar himself. So, over the years, he's worked with various organizations, both public and private, learning from different entrepreneurs, as well as working with some huge enterprises such as AT&T, JP Morgan, Bank of America, etc. Now, in this episode, we're going to dive into a variety of different topics, such as all the lessons he's learned from people like Zig Ziglar and other mentors in his life. We're going to dive into how do you create change in huge organizations? What's the formula for that? We're going to go into lessons that he's had himself, the future of the industries, including, AI and changes people need to understand, and a whole variety of different things. This was a very exciting and fun episode to record, and I hope you find a lot of golden nuggets within this because I definitely came away with a lot of additional knowledge. I want to circle back a little bit more to the network and the lessons you might have learned from other entrepreneurs because
Yeah.
I feel like there's always some commonalities between, let's say, the successful entrepreneurs and maybe entrepreneurs that don't quite reach those levels that they want to. So, I mean, what's three commonalities that you've seen with people within your network where they've achieved success, or maybe they haven't, and what were those
Yeah.
those three things?
Yeah. 3 things, to narrow it down to 3 things, but let me see if I can't do this. So, I'll tell you what and I have always been a student of people, not for judgment or criticism, just for observations. I take the things that I really and it's not that I wanna be those other people, but how do I make that work for me, right? And what I found is that really successful entrepreneurs are really good at life in general, right? It's not I know people who have very, very successful businesses, but their personal life are in shambles, right? I know other people who their personal life have pulled them away from business and their businesses have failed. Really solid entrepreneurs are good it's not about, I somebody told me this, I can't remember who it was, but it's not about work-life balance. It's about work-life integration, right? How do you not and if you think about it, a lot of times, on my feed, it's, people will go on a vacation and this is their mindset unconsciously. I'm not saying that they know they're even doing this, but you'll see them post a picture like as they're leaving their vacation and there's some sort of quote like back to reality, right? Well, why can't vacation be reality? You know what I mean? How can't you just integrate it and make everything, whether you're, I think JP Morgan said this, whether I'm working or playing, I don't want to be able to tell the difference, right? I think that is something that I really try to hone in on. I'm not perfect. A lot of my wounds are self-inflicted, but that's one of the things that I really strive for is how do I make sure that because one succeeds, the other one doesn't succeed? How do I just succeed at life? How do I succeed at life with, my family and my health and my business and my social and the chair? Like, how do I succeed at those things in a way where I elevate them? A rising tide raises all ships. How do I do that versus I'm succeeding in business, but I'm neglecting my boys, or I'm succeeding in my business, but I'm neglecting my wife. I want to remove that and just play at a level where everything's rolling on and it's an ebb and flow, but that's one that I really see in successful entrepreneurs. Here's the other one. Successful entrepreneurs also understand that a lot of times the journey is 3 times as hard, takes 3 times the effort, takes 3 times the investment, takes 3 times the time than what they would think, right? It was Vision Lakiani, I think, told me one time, he said, people truly overestimate what they can accomplish in 12 months, but truly underestimate what they can accomplish in 36 months. Right. So we overestimate. And that's what happens with entrepreneurs. They start a business. They want to do this. They want to do that. They're not getting the results that they see, or they're not seeing it. And they fold. Right. In that 12 months, we overestimate. Like, I can do this. I can do this. I can raise this type of capital. I can do this. I can do that. But sometimes we truly underestimate what we can do in 3 years or 5 years. And so I find that some entrepreneurs that are really, really good have more of that long-term vision, and they're not typically worried about today. I struggle with that, by the way. I mean, we do have there's a mastermind group that I've kind of been a part of over the years, that you can't be part of this unless you have a 25-year vision. If you don't have a 25-year vision, you're not allowed. So, because if you have a 25-year vision, a roadblock tomorrow, really, if you really focus on the long-term vision, a roadblock tomorrow isn't gonna take you out of the game, right?
Yeah.
But if I'm just trying to get payroll at the end of the month, that roadblock tomorrow might send me over the edge. So that's the second thing, really having a long-term game plan and making sure that every day it's like you wanna break it up into chunks, but how am I making sure that I'm moving towards it? And if a headwind comes or, something happens, it's not gonna take me out of the game. I think so many entrepreneurs fail might be the wrong word. So many entrepreneurs don't sometimes succeed because they don't have that persistence because they don't have that long-term game plan of what they're trying to accomplish.
Love
The
that.
third
Love.
the third thing that entrepreneurs, the ones that I've really just taken from, and there's a lot of them. I could list them out. But the third thing that I think they do really, really well is they elevate others, right? It's not I win, you lose. It's they really elevate people in a way where they give others the credit when success happens and they'll fall on the sword if there's a challenge. I think there's some merit to that I try to continuously focus on that just helps everybody. Again, goes back to that win-win-win scenario. All authentic and sincerely. I got to keep saying that, but I really think those are if I had to boil it down to three, that's what I would really say. It's work-life integration, it's playing the long game, and it's elevating people around you where you have a brand where when you come into a room, people are excited to see you, not when you come into a room, you might have the most money in the room, but people want to try to avoid you, right? That's not winning the game in my opinion.
Yeah, I love that. And that second point that you mentioned about work-life integration, I think that's such a important thing to note because we always hear work-life balance, right? Like it's two completely separate things. But as you said, life is it's all integrated, it's all
Yeah.
in one place, right? And we need to treat it as such. And so optimizing your day, your weeks, what do those things look like? But you got to maintain those core things, right? Health, wealth, relationships, those three core
Yeah.
main things which fit so many different things into. If one isn't there after 10 years, you're going to be lacking, right? If money isn't there, you're going to be lacking. If health isn't there, you're going to be lacking. And relationships, same thing. So if you can work on all three, for yourself, then ultimately, then you're going to win the game. Whatever the
Yeah.
game you want to call it, but you're going to win the game for yourself, and definitely going to feel that as well. Because I remember for the first couple of years when I was on the entrepreneurial journey, let's say, there was no work-life integration. There
Yeah.
was, no work-life balance, let's say. It was just work, and that's what it was, and at the end of that 2-year process, I was just burnt out. I was like, "I've neglected all these relationships, my health was going down and all these different things," and it wasn't until, someone had this conversation with me, one of my mentors, and said, "Look, we need to start optimizing for these other things as well, because these are critical, these are very, very important." So, I love
Yeah.
that message, and I love all 3 of those things, as well.
Well, good. Yeah, I think that now there are times certainly where
Yeah.
things show up more than others, right? But
You go through the
it's
season.
absolutely. There are chapters that you go through where some things show up a little bit higher just for certain circumstances, but ultimately, how do you create just one life that you're just living and you're impacting all those things in a positive way?
Definitely. So, one of the final questions we always ask on the show is if you can go back to your 18-year-old self and take 3 things with you, whether it's some business knowledge, some philosophy knowledge, or some technical knowledge, what would those 3 things be and why would it be those things?
Oh gosh. I think number 1, take more risks. I think I would take more risks. I have been blessed in all areas, and no one's feeling sorry for me right now, but and I think it's because I did take some risks. However, if I had to go back, I could probably dial that up. I could probably 10 times the risk that I took. So I think take more risks. Number 2, never forget the people that helped you get there, right? Like, never forget them. And I try, but I'm sure I failed. I'm sure there's people out there that, I have not stayed connected with or I have not thanked. Like, never pass up an opportunity to show authentic appreciation for people that, help you get to where you're at. And I would say the third thing would probably be, so number 1 is take more risks. Number 2 is never forget the people that got you where you're at. I would think the third thing would 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 probably be be more adventurous. And what I mean by that is there have been times, and again, I am a huge work in progress, right? There's a lot of things, and you put my wife on here, she'll tell you, but I think were times in my life where I didn't God, what's his name? There's a guy that says, "Don't have a bucket list, have a F it list," right? Like, just if there's an opportunity to do something, just F it, go do it, right? Life is too short, go do it. Um, Jesse Itzler, I think, has that. But anyway,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, Itzler has the F it list. So there have been times in my life, if I had to go back, where I had opportunities to do things and I might not have because of whatever reason, right? And I justified it because it didn't make sense. I didn't have the money. I had business I had to do. I had work, and I think if I'd go back to my 18 self, I would be like, just there's a whole world out there, and we have a short time on it. Go be as adventurous as you can, experience as many things as you can, and really, things you could, if you have money, you can always buy things, but invest that money in experiences. Those are things that you're never going to forget. I would say those three things.
Amazing. I love the message here, and I love all the knowledge you've shared today. So thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show.
You bet. Thanks.